here's my deal with Donald Sterling is this. It is 2014. We had the civil rights movement in this country 50 years ago. Slaves were freed, 150 years ago. We should be so far removed from this type of thinking and this type of speak. And the fact that not only does he feel this way, he's talking to his girlfriend at the time who is half black. So this is a guy who clearly doesn't care if he offends people. And in fact, let's also point out the fact that Sterling has been sued in the past for racial discrimination. When Elgin Baylor got fired from the team, he sued Donald Sterling for racial discrimination. Now, ultimately, that lawsuit was thrown out. But you know what wasn't thrown out? Another racial discrimination lawsuit against Donald Sterling, where he had to pay over $2 million, which is a record fine in a racial discrimination case. So this is a pattern of history, and for some unknown reason, we talked a few months ago when David Stern retired, we talked about my feelings about David Stern and how basically the last 10 years of his commissionership were pathetic. And you know what was one of the things I didn't mention then, but I should have, was the fact that he didn't punish Donald Sterling for being a public and open racist. And guess what? Adam Silver, welcome to the job, buddy, because this is your first real test. You've already overseen the sell of a team. You handled that pretty well. You know, the Bucks got their new ownership. That's great. But now, this is a new team that needs a new owner because, you know, we saw the Clippers yesterday have their silent protest before tip-off. They all flipped their warm-up jerseys inside out so that the word Clippers wasn't available anywhere on their warm-up gear. Donald Sterling cannot and should not be allowed anywhere near an NBA arena for the foreseeable future, if ever again. If I was Silver, now, obviously I'm not a lawyer, but I would find some way to force Donald Sterling to sell this team, just like Major League Baseball did to Marge Schott back in the late 90s when she was the owner of the Reds, and she was praising Adolf Hitler multiple times for his ideology. Now, obviously, this isn't Adolf Hitler we're talking about. So that's a bit far, but ultimately, I think the result needs to be the same. I don't think, and let's face it, Donald Sterling has owned the Clippers for 30 years. They were completely irrelevant for 25 of them?
Oh,
I mean, you're a basketball expert, Tennyson.
Yeah, they really were.
They're a punching bag. They were the butt of a joke for over 2 decades. They were a laughing stock of the league. They're still, the Lakers were one of the worst teams in the NBA this year, and they're still looked at as the Lakers' little brother, even though they won twice as many games. And that's why, above all else, if he was a good owner, like if his teams were good, I guess you could kind of make the argument that this is just one mark against him. But he's a terrible owner, and now it looks like he's also a terrible human being. And I think this is a guy that you need to distance yourself and run away from as fast as humanly possible if I'm the NBA.